Hey guys, so today we are going to talk about Elixir, innovation, JavaScript and simplicity. So let's get into it. Now, the other day I got a question basically from one of my subscribers who wanted me to kind of share some thoughts on how Elixir's innovation measures up against JavaScript and the simplicity of using something like JavaScript or Node or whatever you want to call it. And I thought that the leading question here was that the subscriber in question expressed the thought that from his perspective, Elixir seems to be bringing more innovation and so forth to the table. And he wanted me to touch on this a little bit. And I'm all too happy to do so. So let's get into it. Now, let's take just a moment to define some things. Let's talk about innovation. What do you mean when you're talking about innovation? Well, innovation can be many, many things. And what I find interesting is that the perception is that Elixir is bringing innovation to the table. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I don't see anything about Elixir that is truly innovative. I see that it's a genius language and I love it more than you can possibly imagine, but I don't see it innovating. Elixir is not, in my opinion, pushing anything that is innovative. It is adopting and it's popularizing and it is providing a massive value, but it's not innovating. Why do I say that? Well, let's talk about what could be perceived as being innovative about Elixir. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, functional programming. What is Elixir doing when it comes to innovations in that area? Well, absolutely nothing. Elixir is simply a functional language or a functional-ish language that adopts an has adopted functional programming. It's simply an existing concept that has been around for a long, long time. If you want to give credit to a language for not innovating, because it's kind of hard to innovate with something that has been established for a very, very long time, the only thing that is, I would say that the popularization of functional programming these days is not possible to credit to any one thing, but you kind of have to look around for that, I would say. So if we just accept that that's not really bringing anything new to the table, because innovation kind of means that you're pushing the boundaries of something. And let's be honest here, Elixir is solely a language on top of Erlang. Erlang was there's nothing really, as far from my perspective, I don't see how you can credit these ideas that Elixir has brought to the table to Elixir. That's not really my opinion. So let's dismiss functional programming. All right, let's talk about real-time connections and stability and uptime and all of these things. Are these innovative ideas? No. They're not. In fact, Erlang was doing it 30 years ago, and they have been doing it for a very long time. So why is Elixir innovative there? Well, it's not. Okay, so what else could we credit Elixir with when it comes to innovation? Maybe mix, package management? No, not really. Not code generation either. Honestly, I would not associate Elixir with innovation at all. I think that it's the same type of thing to say to associate Java with innovation. Yes, depending on your definition of innovation, you could argue that Java is innovative, just as you could credit almost any type of language that brings a new concept to the table as an innovative thing. But That's not what I think when I think about Elixir. I think about Elixir as the language that has the potential. Oh shit, sorry, it's very slippery on these roads. But I think about Elixir as the language that has the potential to be the only sane choice for businesses. I really do. I think that Elixir it really only has one thing. The only issue I have with Elixir is that it's not strictly typed. Had Elixir been strictly typed, I would have not seen any reason to use anything else. It is that genius. It has absolutely every single possible thing going for it, except for that one thing. And that's not the biggest thing in the world, but it does matter. Trust me, it does matter in really large projects. But so why am I saying that? Like, how is this comparing up against, say, JavaScript, for example, when it comes to innovation? Well, let's talk about JavaScript. So when it comes to JavaScript and innovation, what you're seeing in JavaScript when it comes to innovation is that JavaScript is the root of so many new concepts, new ideas, even new languages. If we just take a look at JavaScript as a language, JavaScript has provided the platform for the web for years and years and years. And it is one of the driving factors behind all of the stuff that is happening in the browser, all these new tools and concepts that are coming to the web platform. It is the language behind Node. It is the language behind Elm, React, Angular. There are tons and tons and tons of products that are being built on top of JavaScript. Even the conservative languages have transpilers that convert their code into JavaScript in order to just accommodate the need that we have to do browser-based programming, or to basically have code being possible to run in the browser. Elixir isn't doing anything like that. No one at this... Elixir is a consumer of Erlang. Elixir is not, in my opinion, a language that is bringing something new and amazing and fascinating to the table, or rather something that is truly innovative to the table. But it doesn't have to be, because Elixir is not about this progressive type of innovation type of deal. It is about repackaging something that was done right, or rather something that was almost perfect a long time ago, a piece of stable technology that has been around for a long time. And Elixir is about realizing that this power can be repackaged and repurposed to serve modern day development. That's what I see about Elixir. I don't see Elixir as a source of true innovation. I see it as the beginning of a new, maybe it will start a trend. I'm not going to say too much now. This is me wildly guessing now, guys. Wildly guessing. If I know anything about trends, it is that what usually happens with the trend is that it booms up really big, becomes super popular, and then people start to kind of see issues with that trend, and they start looking for something that, I mean, there's always this group, and I think this is hilarious, how trends just cycle, they go around in circles, and they always come back. So today we have a trend of service-oriented architecture, microservices and containers and all of this good stuff. And what's good about that is, rather what we're focusing on today, is how good all of the problems that this way of working, like how many problems we're solving. But there are also a lot of issues that come with this way of working. One of those things is that distributed systems are very complicated to manage. At scale, having a lot of containers and managing these containers is a tricky problem. That's why I argue that it's very unfair to say that a monolithic application is a bad thing, because it's not. If you say that monoliths are bad, you don't understand monoliths. I actually argue that I think that the mistake people make is that they do microservices because they can't keep a clean code base, and that's to me kind of like trying to hammer in a nail with a saw. You're doing it wrong. You're using the wrong thing for the wrong reason. And what I think Elixir has the potential to do is not to create this innovation that you see in JavaScript, but rather to bring back the monolith trend. Because Elixir as a language, as it is designed, is perfect for a monolithic application. It has the benefits of a monolithic application, but it doesn't have the downsides. Not that I can see. It has, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the idea of processes, message brokering between processes at the very fundamental level is the same type of concept that you see in microservices. But when it comes to monolithic application, usually, and especially in Java, you have this issue where your code base decays because of interdependencies and like these spider web dependency issues that you get. Elixir is not going to. I don't see Elixir having that problem. I can't express it in a nice way, but that's what I think. I think that we will soon see perhaps the trend shifting back to, instead of having microservices, we have containers with monoliths inside of them or something of that nature. And I will say that I think that Elixir has a lot of ground to win there. I really do. Because I don't think that I don't think that there's a single language that I would rather work in if I'm working with a monolithic application than Elixir. I would not want to nothing else compares, at least in my opinion. And that's all I can really say about it. So to answer the question how I think that Elixir is doing measuring up against JavaScript in terms of innovation, I think that JavaScript is the most innovative thing in the world. And it is the most innovative thing in the world because JavaScript is the foundation for so many different products. We have languages are being created on top of JavaScript. There is nothing in the IT world that can measure up against that, at least in my opinion. There is nothing. Elixir is not, in my opinion, the sort of an innovative language. I think it is a language that is ahead of its time. I think that if the Elixir community plays their cards right, and just because they're positioning themselves right, because I think that we will fairly soon see that this microservices SOA architecture type of idea. I think that trend, at least not for maybe the really big businesses, but for smaller, mid-sized businesses, I think that is going to change fairly soon when people are fed up with having all of this overhead maintenance that comes with Docker and Kubernetes and all of this stuff. And I think that when that happens, Elixir will have a true power position. That's what I think. Have a great day.